I left my husband for my lover, but now I'm trapped in a nightmare I can't escape. I can't actually believe I made the biggest mistake of my life by leaving my husband for my affair partner. I have never been this stupid in my entire life. Every day I keep regretting what I did and wish I never had taken that route. My name is Kiyama, and I am a 27-year-old skincare vendor. I own my own store where I basically sell skincare products, and I was doing very well for myself before everything turned sour. The name of my soon-to-be ex-husband is Jesse. He is 29 years old. My soon-to-be ex-husband and I have been married for 4 years now. Jesse and I have known each other since high school. We were just friends and normal schoolmates. Right from time, Jesse has always wanted to be more than friends, but I kept turning him down. Everything changed when we both got to the same college. It was then I realized that Jesse really liked me. I decided to give it a trial after all. Don't get me wrong, guys, I also like Jesse, but then I was playing hard to get. But I decided to give him a chance to see how it would play out. Surprisingly for me, it went pretty well. Along the line, my feelings for him grew much stronger. Every moment spent with Jesse was memorable. He really took good care of me right from high school to marriage. He supported me in everything I wanted to do and encouraged me whenever I was at my lowest. Jesse is a very cool and nice guy. He really knows how to take good care of a woman romantically. One of the issues I had with Jesse was that he wasn't financially up to my taste. Growing up, I had always wished to get married to a very rich and handsome young man who would foot my bills without asking twice. Someone who would also take me out to expensive restaurants, go on an expensive vacation, buy me the most expensive jewelry and all of that. Right from time, I had always wanted to live the baby girl lifestyle. I wanted to be pampered materially and also to be loved. It's not too much to ask, right? Oh yeah, it isn't. One of the reasons I had always turned Jesse down from the beginning was because he wasn't up to the type of guys I had wanted. Jesse was the second person I had ever dated, and we both ended up getting married to each other. My last ex before I married Jesse was rich. Yes, guys, he gave me the type of life I had dreamed of. We were both in high school then. We ended things because he was traveling out of the States for his college education. At that time, I was really heartbroken, and I just had to move on because I knew it was impossible to be with him. It was at that period I had developed feelings for Jesse, and I thought of giving him a chance to see if it would work out. Maybe I never did get over my ex before I accepted Jesse, or let's just say I used Jesse to move on. I thought maybe I would learn to love him, but I never did. Looking back right now, I regret treating him the way I did. My love for money made me not see what true love actually means. I accepted Jesse's proposal not because I genuinely loved him, but because I needed a shoulder to cry on, and someone that would distract me from thinking about my ex then. After dating for 6 months, Jesse and I got married. It was a very simple wedding. We said our vows in front of both families and friends. It was really nice. But deep down I wasn't happy because that was not the kind of wedding I had wanted. Jesse, on the other hand, knew that I wasn't happy, but kept assuring me that things would get better, and we would have the kind of wedding I had always dreamed of on our 5th or 10th wedding anniversary. A little patience was what he needed from me, but I couldn't wait. I was too curious and tired to wait. I was also too frustrated with living life as a middle-class person to actually see the kind of man I married. Jesse has his strict principles, and he wasn't someone to waste his time if he noticed he was being taken for granted, so I tried my best to fake things, but I don't really know why I did what I did. The only issue there was that he didn't have the money to give me the kind of expensive lifestyle I wanted. He used to buy me gifts and anything I wanted, but Jesse was financially smart, and he never spent unnecessarily. Even before we got married, he made it clear that he wasn't the kind of guy that spent 50% of his earnings on just buying gifts. I didn't like the idea of that, but I had no choice. I can now see that Jesse was kind and loving, and I have made the biggest mistake of my life by leaving such a nice man and going after someone else just because of his financial status. Everything that has played out in the last 8 months has opened my eyes to another side of life. My affair partner is nothing compared to my husband Jesse. My affair partner is very rich but lacks manners. He doesn't know how to treat a woman, aside from the expensive things he got for me. His character is nothing compared to Jesse. But then, he could give me the lifestyle I had always dreamed of. I really regretted throwing away 4 years with Jesse to go live with a man that is mannerless. I have tried everything within my power to get back with my husband, but his mind is already made up. Right now, we're in the process of getting a divorce, and even though I am trying to save my marriage, Jesse isn't ready to take me back or have anything to do with me again. I lost both a friend and companion. I should have thought of that before leaving Jesse that time. Every single day, I keep blaming myself for allowing myself to be too materialistic. Now look what my love for money has caused me. I'm at the verge of losing two of the most important things in my life. I'm about to lose my husband and my marriage. I really hope my husband will have a change of mind in accepting me back. I have learnt to be content with whatever I have. My marriage with Jesse was going on well until one fateful day I met Jeff, the guy I cheated on my husband with. That day, Jeff walked into my store to buy some skin products. His dressing was the first thing that caught my attention. Jeff is really good at dressing simple, but yet luxurious. The products he came to buy were really pricey, but he didn't care. To my surprise, he paid the bills and even gave me an extra token. That day, I was the happiest because I made 3 times my daily income. Jeff even promised to drop by again any time he wanted to get something else. I waited to see him again like he had promised. A few months later, Jeff showed up at the store again, but with a friend of his. Apparently, Jeff had referred me to one of his friends and insisted he buys from me. I also sold some unisex t-shirts at my store, but I knew deep down that Jeff was only looking for reasons to see me. I was very happy that day because I made huge sales. Jeff and I exchanged contacts before leaving the store that day. He told me he would like to share my contact information with some of his friends that would want to get the same products he usually buys from me. Jeff was very instrumental in boosting my business. With the help of Jeff, my products sold faster and I had a lot of audience. To show my appreciation for him, I agreed to go out with him. Of course I decided to do that. Jeff didn't ask anything in return. Going out with Jeff was one of the best things that had happened to me in a very long time. Jeff upgraded my standards. I got to wear some expensive clothes, shoes, and jewelry. Anytime Jeff was out of town, he would make sure he bought me lots of expensive accessories before coming back. Sometimes we went to expensive restaurants to have lunch and dinner. It was literally the kind of lifestyle I had always dreamt of. Jeff knew how to spoil me with gifts and money. The only issue I had with Jeff was that he was mannerless and even lacked emotional intelligence. To Jeff, money was everything. I didn't see this side of him before I left my husband. If I had known, I wouldn't have made such a big mistake in the first place. After months of going out together, Jeff finally proposed to me to be his girlfriend. Jeff knew about my marital status, but still wanted us to be together. He knew how Jesse and I were living before I met him. Jeff promised to take good care of me and give me whatever I wanted. He also promised to shower me with lots of love. I took his words seriously and was carried away by the feeling of the moment. Of course, I was drawn to Jeff materially. Not just that, he had almost all the qualities of the man I had dreamed of. He even got me the bag I had always wanted and spoke to him about. It was his gift to me and a way to celebrate our 3-month anniversary of dating. I was very much excited that day, but at the same time I was anxious. I kept thinking about whether or not to accept the gift because I didn't know how I would explain it to my husband. But Jeff told me there was no need to explain anything and that I could just hide the bag without him knowing. It was a very good idea, and bit by bit I was moving my things to Jeff's house. His house was very big and empty. Jeff lived alone at that time. Of course, Jeff was single and wasn't into any relationship as at that time. Cheating on my husband with Jeff was one of the dumbest things I have ever done. The whole thing keeps getting me angry each time I remember it. After 4 months of being together with Jeff, he proposed that I come over to live with him and be together officially. We even planned on getting engaged, and I, divorcing Jesse. After much thought, I agreed on moving out of the house before divorcing my husband. I didn't know how to break the news to Jesse, but I kept it slow until one day I finally decided to tell him that I was moving out to go live with someone else. Of course, he was surprised and at the same time heartbroken. He didn't see it coming. Prior to that day, I didn't give Jesse the chance to suspect anything. He didn't know about my secret affair with Jeff. Anytime I came home late, I would always give one excuse or the other. I made sure he never suspected anything. I had no friends in the city that he could ask after me, so it was easy for me to escape. At some point, I got tired of the hide and seek and decided to tell him about my decision. That night, Jeff and I were coming back from one of his friends' parties when we decided to go to the house to pack up my belongings from my husband's house. Jeff waited for me outside while I went inside to pack up. I met Jesse watching his favorite TV show, as always. After our usual greetings, I went upstairs and grabbed all my clothes from the wardrobe and other stuff. A few minutes after that, I came down with my bags. Jesse was confused, and he asked what was going on and where I was going with the bags. I tried ignoring all of his questions, but he kept on yelling and demanded to know what was going on. It was then I told him that I could no longer continue to stay married to him. I told Jesse that I have found someone better and richer who's ready to give me the kind of life I wanted, and that I needed an upgrade. Jesse was very angry, and he couldn't believe I was being so foolish and insensitive. He kept asking if that was my final decision, and I wasted no time and made it clear to him that I couldn't stay in the marriage again, because I had stayed for 4 years and got nothing substantial to show. My husband tried everything he could to stop me, but my mind was already made up to leave. After much back and forth with Jesse, I was able to move my things out of the house. It was pretty late that night. Everywhere was calm and silent. The neighbors even heard our voices. A few of them came out and watched from their front yard across the street. Jesse was surprised to see Jeff waiting for me outside. Immediately, he looked at me with so much disgust and told me that he had no problem with me leaving since I already cheated and disrespected him, and that the moment I stepped out of the residence, I should never come back again. I told him I didn't care and was ready to go. Jesse was very disappointed in hearing that, and he told me not to show my face ever to him again. I told him not to worry about that, because I wasn't even planning on coming back. Jeff made a mockery of my husband and used his standard of living, and I laughed at all the jokes because it was very funny. Right now, I realize that I was very stupid to have done that to my husband. Jesse practically chased us out of the house that day, and he almost beat up Jeff. That night, I couldn't stop thinking of what happened between my husband and Jeff. I started having a second thought before Jeff walked up to me and told me to forget about everything that has to do with Jesse. He promised to take me out and spoil me with gifts like he usually did. I couldn't help but smile because Jeff really knew what could ease my stress anytime I'm being stressed out. The first 2 months in Jeff's house were great. We went on a lot of vacations together and we were hardly at home. I had lots of fun memories with Jeff. We even went on a boat cruise together and went skydiving because it was something I had always wanted to do. But guys, all of these things changed in the 4th month of being together with Jeff. It was at that point that I really got to know the real source of Jeff's money. You all would not believe it, but Jeff was living on a loan. He had loaned money from people and refused to pay them back. The most shocking part of it was that he loaned a huge amount of money from the bank. I got to know about this when 2 men came over to the house one day to give me a piece of paper. They claimed to be looking for Jeff, but he wasn't around at that time, and so they handed the piece of paper to me. The moment I opened it to see the content, I was really shocked. It was a notice of default. Jeff had used his house as a collateral in loaning a huge amount of money. He couldn't keep up with the payments, and the bank had to issue him a notice of default for 90 days. Otherwise, the house would be up for a foreclose. That day, I was very shocked and couldn't believe that Jeff was living his expensive lifestyle on borrowed money. He was in a huge debt, not only with the bank, but with a lot of people also. That day was an eye-opener for me. When Jeff got back, I handed him the letter. He looked at it for a few minutes and threw it away from where he was seated. A month after that, things became sour between me and Jeff. He got angry at any slightest provocation. At that time, the money had finished, and Jeff didn't have any money to keep the house running. We ran out of groceries and could barely eat 2 square meals a day. Everything at that time was really frustrating to me. Jeff always took out his anger on me by yelling at me for any little mistakes. We stopped going out like we used to. It even got to a point that we started living on the little money I had saved up from my business. When Jeff got to know that I had money, he would ask me to loan him some amount, promising to pay back. Along the line, I got really tired and frustrated. The money was reduced so much that it couldn't even pay for some important bills for me. When I tried complaining, Jeff would emotionally blackmail me. On several occasions, Jeff had told me to go back to my husband if I was tired of living with him. Of course I couldn't because Jesse won't take me back. What got me really upset was that all the money loaned Jeff, he didn't utilize it in doing anything good in the house. He used it in going out with his friends in the club and leaving alone at the house. At some point, he got hold of my credit card where I saved some money for myself in case of any pressing need. Jeff had the audacity to blow it up in one night. I got really mad, but I couldn't do anything about it. There were times we had nothing to eat at home. During that period, I made orders like pizzas and burgers so I could eat. When they arrived, Jeff would seize everything and wouldn't give me anything to eat. I started losing weight because I wasn't feeding properly. What broke the camel's back for me was when Jeff started selling my stuff from my bags to shoes and my clothes secretly so he could have money. I was so pissed that I had to confront him because my stuff was being reduced. Jeff didn't deny it, and to make matters worse, he wasn't even remorseful. We got into a heated argument that day. I got so angry and went inside to pack my remaining belongings. I came to Jeff's house with 4 bags, but I was leaving with just 2. Jeff claimed he got all the stuff I had, and he wasn't wrong if he decided to sell it out. When I was leaving, Jeff didn't make any move to try to stop me from going. He acted like I never existed and watched me leave his house. After getting out of his house, I realized that I didn't have anywhere to go. None of my family or friends were living in the same city with me. The only hope I had was my husband. But I was scared to even go back there after what happened. After much thought, I decided to go there after all because I had nowhere to go. I went to the house and met Jesse watering the plants we both planted in the garden. Jesse's expression showed irritation the moment he saw me. He wasted no time and asked why I showed up to his face after what happened the last time. I didn't know what to say. I fell on my knees to plead with him to forgive me. Jesse looked at me and told me to leave and that it was over between us. He went inside and shut the door. I kept banging on the door for him to pen, but he refused. At some point, he called the security guards in the estate to throw me out. I don't know what to do, guys. GR had stated that he wants a divorce against all odds. I cannot go back to the nightmare with Jeff. I don't know what to do, and I'm stranded. Update. Hey Reddit, here's an update on everything that happened in the last few months. Things didn't work out between Jesse and I. The divorce papers were already signed by Jesse before he gave them to me. He had already filed for divorce before I came to my senses. Jesse's mind was made up, and he wasn't ready to accept me back. When all hope was lost, I had no choice but to sign the divorce papers. It was a hard decision for me, but I had no choice. Jesse is doing well for himself at the moment. Just recently, he got a huge contract with a different company, and he has moved out from our old house and he's living in a well-furnished apartment. His living standards have upgraded, and he now owns a car. I wished I was a little patient with him like he always told me. My love for money made me impatient, and it really affected my marriage and the only genuine friend I had, which was my ex-husband, Jesse. Jesse has moved on, and right now he's in a relationship with a new lady. From what I have heard, it's very serious, and the girl loves Jesse a lot and wants to marry him. I really messed up everything for myself, and I regret the way I treated my ex-husband. All he ever did was love and care for me, but I was too blind with the love for money to see that. My ex-husband is better than Jeff. Life with Jeff was hell, but I used the expensive things I was getting from him to console myself. It got worse when the money got finished. It was then I got to see the other side of him that I never saw from the beginning. My life right now is a mess. My business has crumbled. I stopped the business when I moved in with Jeff. I was overwhelmed by the feeling of the moment that I didn't plan ahead. I didn't know that the money would one day finish. Jeff also made me not stress myself to work, since he was capable of taking care of me. I should have thought about it thoroughly before closing down my business. Now, I don't have anything that's going to give me money to take care of my bills. Jeff gave me the kind of lifestyle I dreamed of, but it cost me so much. I got used to wearing expensive things and going to expensive restaurants. But right now I can barely even feed, not to talk of what to wear. Most of my expensive accessories were sold off by Jeff. In the years I was married to Jesse, he had never asked me to sell my stuff to give him money. Rather, Jesse always used his last penny to buy me anything I wanted within his capacity. Life with him was good, but I didn't appreciate it. Like the saying goes, you will never know the value of something until you lose it. I didn't know how much value my husband was to me until I moved in with Jeff and realized it. When I learnt my lessons, it was just too late. These past few months have taught me to be content with whatever I have and not look elsewhere. Life is hard on me right now, and it's not easy. I'm trying to build all what I have lost from scratch, but it's hard, and I know it will never be the same because everything is just messed up.